Today we are talking about how to be contagious, and we are not talking about the flu. So get excited. We are going to talk branding, we're going to talk messaging, how to apply this to your business. I've got some great examples for you. But first of all, I'll introduce myself real quick. If you're new around here, my name is Brett Rowley. I am a business consultant. I specialize in marketing, marketing strategy. I'm an entrepreneurship advocate in general. So I love business, love building businesses, so much so that I created an online course for people who are starting businesses and don't know where to start. So I basically downloaded everything that I would, everything from my brain that I would tell someone who was just getting started, whether they were doing it on the side or had finally quit their job and were jumping all into this crazy entrepreneurship ride. So that's a little bit about me, but let's jump in and talk about how you could, first of all, why would you want to be contagious? And second of all, how to make it happen. So why would you want to be contagious? When we're talking about this idea of being contagious in business, I think about it as I want a brand that people cannot stop talking about, that they cannot shut up about. And the perfect example for me, and I know this isn't necessarily a brand, but I am that obnoxious person that I can come up with a reference from The Office for literally every situation. And I use that as an example for when I'm talking with clients about how we want to build this kind of contagious brand, because that's what you want to create. You want to create customers that literally cannot stop talking about your brand, their interaction with you and your brand. So why would you want to do that? Other than the obvious reasons of, it's got to be good for business if people are talking about you, right? The biggest thing with being contagious is that it lowers your cost of client acquisition. And what I mean by that is you have to spend less money to get more clients. Always a good thing. So if you think about it, if you spend money on advertising, you put together a budget, or, develop the ads, start the campaign, cross your fingers, hope that something comes through at the end. Whereas if you generating referrals, not only are you spending less money because you don't have to pay for the advertising, but you're also getting better clients who are already prepped to love your brand because they know someone else who loves your brand. So that's the key of why we want to be contagious in the first place. Now, how do we get there? So you're like, Brett, I'm sold. I want to be contagious. I wouldn't go around saying that. But how do we get there? So how do I get from kind of your standard brand to a brand that people are sharing on social media that they can't stop talking about? People ask me all the time how to go viral, and this is the closest thing as you're going to get, right? There's no formula. So the first step is knowing who you're connecting to. So who is your target audience? What do they want? And how can you help them get it? That's really what it boils down to. Know who you're talking to. What do they want? How you can help them get it. And another way to think about that is, what are they challenged with? So if they have a goal, for my clients, for example, most of my clients want to either start or grow their businesses. So if I can help them do that, I'm in business. The challenges are they don't have a ton of time. They don't have marketing expertise. They're really good at whatever it is that they're good at, but they're not sure on the business side. And so think about that for your business. What are your clients' goals or your customers' goals? And what is keeping them from achieving those goals? If you can fill that gap, then you're in good shape and you're on your way to becoming a contagious brand. It could be anything from, if you own a boutique, you sell dresses, you're selling self-confidence. So think about it in those terms. What are you really selling? And how do you connect to that so that you're connecting deeper and building deeper relationships with your clients? Ultimately, we want to empower our customers to be involved in our brand and reduce stress throughout each point in the process. You want every interaction that they have with you to be excellent. So now that you know who you're talking to, the next step is defining your brand. Apple does a really great job of this. And personally, I think it's because they use a really simple strategy. I read a book. I don't know if it's anywhere that I can grab and show you guys. It's called Insanely Simple. So this is one of my favorite books I've ever read, and it's written by the guy who was on the advertising team with Steve, working with Steve Jobs and Apple, and it's all about how Steve Jobs was obsessed with simplicity. So if you look at Apple's logo, super simple. If you look at all of their products, extremely simple, clean lines. All of their advertising, really, really simple. And so I think when it comes to defining your brand, Apple has done a better job than pretty much anyone in terms of being really clear. When you see something that's an Apple product, you know immediately. So how can you, and in this book they call it a simple stick. So they would beat every idea with a simple stick. How can you apply that to your business and say, okay, if I want people to talk about my brand, first they have to know who I am and know how to talk about it that's correct, that's going to be an accurate depiction of my brand. So a really clear definition, and then unify everything that you send out. So once you have an idea, and I'm not just talking about logos and graphics and colors, it could be tone, how you talk to your customers, how you interact with your customers. It could be anything from the video content that you put out. Define what everything is supposed to look like so that, one, people can recognize it immediately, and two, they can easily share and easily pass along the message. I was talking to another colleague of mine who is a consultant, and he was like, I honestly don't think my clients have a good understanding of what I do. I think I would be so nervous if they went and were saying, oh yeah, I work with Mike and he does XYZ. They don't have that elevator pitch down. Think about that in terms of your clients and your customers. Do they know how to describe what it is that you do? Can they share the value that you provide? And that's the power of a really clear definition of your brand and unifying it across all of your channels. Again, use Apple as an example, and I really highly recommend this, if I can get it right in the screen. Really highly recommend this book. It's called Insanely Simple, and it's by Ken Siegel. The second thing that you want to do in thinking about becoming contagious is to be about something bigger. Again, I always use myself as an example. I like to buy from companies. I like to support companies that I know the mission, that I know where my money is going. And that's increasingly a trend today, and I think it's going to continue to increase. So be about something bigger. It could be service-oriented. It could be just something bigger in terms of empowerment. Like for me, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am an entrepreneurship advocate in general. So I feel like the more people that I help, the better off we all are in general, specifically women in entrepreneurship. That's kind of my passion. So be about something bigger. So that way, when people work with me, it's not about and same thing with you, it's not about putting cash in your pocket, right? You're not just saying, I just want to make sales so that I can pay my bills, even though that may be the reality. You want to be about, all of your brand messaging is about something bigger. So I have all kinds of props today. Warby Parker is a perfect example of this. So I don't know if you guys are familiar. They're a pretty big brand now. But if you guys aren't glasses wearers, you probably aren't super familiar. But they are a glasses company. And they are extremely disruptive, or they have been extremely disruptive in the industry because they're the first inexpensive eyewear company to really take off in the last couple of decades. And so what makes them different are a couple of things. One, they really know their customer. So they identified and said, you know what, it really sucks having to go to the eye doctor to get glasses. It really sucks to buy glasses online and then get them and you don't like them. They don't fit your face. So they do a couple things. One, they give you the opportunity to try on glasses and send them back. And two, they have a service-oriented part of their business. So they provide support to organizations around the world to get eyewear into those that need it, or into the hands of those that need it. So there's a bigger story. You're not just buying glasses. You are, one, it's a great experience buying glasses, and two, you're paying it forward. You're helping, you're feeding into the greater good. So I really like Warby Parker as an example about being about something bigger. It's not just about sales. And that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses really struggle with, because we want to get into that features and these are all the services that I can provide, and these are all the products that I can sell you, and like word vomit onto people about everything that you can do, when in reality, you want to empower your customers to be about something bigger. And by working with you, that's how they achieve it. So you're like, okay, I'm on board. I want to be contagious, I guess. I'm going to define my brand. I'm going to be about something bigger, not just about sales. How do I convey this to my customers? How do we functionally put this into practice? And the key here is telling stories. And one, I think this is crucial for your business in general, even if we weren't talking about being contagious. The reason I think it's crucial is because people no longer pay attention to advertising. They just don't. The ad execs are gonna, be yelling about me saying this, but in general, the vast majority of people are not paying attention to advertising. Now, how does that impact you? It's going to force you to be more creative in how you connect with your clients. So think about it for yourself. For me, I watch Netflix where there's no ads. I never pay attention to my ads on Facebook. I skip through ads on YouTube. So if someone is trying to market to me, it has to be in the form of valuable content. And most often it's in the form of stories. So start to brainstorm how you can incorporate stories into your business and into your marketing strategy. And I think there are a few keys here. One, I would embrace transparency. So be yourself. We talked about that and kind of defining your brand. Be yourself. Don't try to kind of be who you think that they want you to be, or be who your competitors are. I did that when I first started my business. I was looking around at all these other consultants and all these other business coaches, and they wrote really like motivational content, like really long emails, all about, I was, just starting out and nothing was going great. And then I did X and now I'm a gajillionaire, and I thought, well, this must be working. This must be what people want. And I tried to write like that. And I was like, I don't even want to read these emails. Like, I don't even enjoy what I'm reading, what I'm writing. Why would I expect my ideal customer to enjoy it as well? And I was so validated. I will never forget. It's been a couple years ago now. I got on the phone with a client or a prospect, and she said something along, first of all, she cussed on the phone with me, which I was like, this is my person, right? Like, I cuss more than I should. But she said something that will always stick with me. And she said, I don't need the motivation. Like, I need tactical strategies to be successful. And I was like, oh my God, like, that is my niche. So all that to say, don't be who you think that they want, or don't be who your competitors are. Be yourself and tell stories that are transparent, and share who you are, who your brand is. The other thing when it comes to telling stories is going back to the empowerment idea. And it also ties into being about something bigger. Think about one of my favorite brand examples is Patagonia. And they have just such a great brand, and it's because they almost never market their products directly. They have brand ambassadors who are these like badass explorers, like rock climbers, divers, like all of these like super badass people around the planet that are Patagonia ambassadors. And the content that Patagonia creates is about them. It's about their stories. Of course, they are using Patagonia gear and everything is featured there, but it's not about selling the product. It's about exploring the world, which is what Patagonia knows its customers are interested in and will consume stories about. So think about that in terms of your business and how you can tell stories that tie into those larger goals that your clients have. It's not just about looking good for a wedding. It's about self-confidence, and it's about, if you're a boutique, I keep going back to that example. But think about how you can tell stories through ambassadors like that. So it's not just talking about your brand all the time. Same thing, Glossier is a makeup company or a skincare company, and they do the same thing. They have ambassadors. So they very rarely market directly to consumers. They use their ambassadors to say, these are the products that I'm using. This is what works for me. And so it comes across as a much more trustworthy source I mean, if you think about it, no one trusts ads. Like, you know that they were trying to sell something to you. So if you have ambassadors or if you're using stories, it comes across as a much more trustworthy source, and your brand is going to be that much more contagious as a result of it. So the last thing I'll say in terms of being contagious and building a brand that is contagious, and, you know, if we want to use the word viral, I don't love that word, but is make something that is valuable. That is the only thing, the only way you're going to be able to get any traction, whether in your current client base or any new clients that you get in the future, is by creating valuable content. And because if you think about it, no one's going to share content that isn't valuable. And again, I always go back to, it's not just the advertising piece of it, it's every single interaction. How does, you know, whoever answers the phone in your office, how do they interact with clients? What email sequences are clients getting after they work with you? Do you send a follow-up gift? Like, what are all of those great experiences that are going to have people talking? I don't have them in right now, but I'm doing Smile Direct Club, little, you know, teeth aligners. And I've had such a great experience with them, and I know that I'm obnoxious because I can't shut up about it. I'm doing it right now. And so think about how you can build your brand with that end goal in mind. Not just about sales, not just about sharing products and services, but how can you build your brand so that you're looking to empower and excite your customers so that they go out and serve as your ambassadors, because that's ultimately what it's all about. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have questions, leave a comment or shoot me a note. I'm at brett@brettrally.com. If you can spell my name, you can get in touch with me. And I'd love to answer any questions, or I'd love to hear your thoughts and who are your contagious brands that you can't shut up about. Until next time.